The massive interstellar transport hummed softly as Hannah Kim stepped onto the gleaming metallic platform of the Galactic Academic Station. Her dark hair was pulled back neatly, a simple backpack slung over her shoulder, containing everything she would need for the next solar cycle of her exchange program. Around her, alien species moved in complex patterns, their bodies ranging from crystalline structures to fluid-like forms that seemed to shimmer and shift with each movement. Hannah remained calm, her brown eyes observant and steady. She knew she was different, the first human selected for this prestigious program. A tall being with translucent skin and multiple joint limbs approached her. Its communication translator buzzed softly, converting its complex language into standard galactic communication. Human student identification? The voice was mechanical but not unkind. Hannah Kim, Earth, Xenoanthropology Research Program, she responded clearly. Several nearby alien students turned, their various sensory organs focusing on her. Whispers traveled through their communication networks, some curious, some dismissive. Humans were still considered a relatively unknown species, barely making a blip in the vast galactic community. Two students from the Viriax system, creatures with exoskeletal structures and multiple eyes, exchanged a quick glance. Another primitive species, one communicated silently. Probably cannot even adapt to basic environmental variations. Hannah pretended not to notice, but her keen hearing, honed from years of academic training, caught their subtle communication. She smiled internally, knowing they had no idea what humans were truly capable of experiencing and surviving. The registration process was complex. Holographic screens materialized, scanning her biological markers, verifying her credentials, and processing her unique human DNA. Each scan took longer than for other species, primarily because human genetic structures were still a mystery to most galactic researchers. A senior administrative officer, a being composed of what seemed like interconnected energy fields, reviewed her documents. Its multiple sensory tendrils flickered with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Humans were an anomaly, a species that had barely begun interstellar exploration yet somehow secured a spot in the most prestigious academic exchange in the known universe. Your planetary credentials are unusual, the administrator stated, its translator producing a somewhat confused tone. Earth's environmental records suggest extreme variability. How do organisms survive such conditions? Hannah knew this was her moment. Adaptation, she replied simply. Humans evolve quickly. We transform. We survive. The administrator's energy fields pulsed, indicating a complex emotional response that roughly translated to intrigue mixed with mild confusion. As she was guided towards her living quarters, Hannah observed the station's intricate design. Artificial gravity fields, molecular reconstruction chambers, and communication networks that spanned multiple dimensions surrounded her. Yet, she remained composed, her training in cultural adaptation serving her well. Her assigned living space was a modular unit designed to accommodate multiple physiological requirements. For humans, it meant something close to Earth-like conditions, controlled temperature, atmospheric pressure, and minimal gravitational stress. Other exchange students began to gather, their forms and appearances a stark contrast to her human shape. Some were gaseous, others crystalline, and a few resembled complex mathematical equations more than biological entities. Whispers continued. Speculation about the human student spread through communication networks faster than light itself. Who was she? What could she do? Why was a species from a relatively unknown planet granted such an opportunity? Hannah Kim stood at the center of it all, a quiet smile playing on her lips. She knew something they didn't, that humans were far more remarkable than any galactic record could capture. The first day of her interstellar academic journey had begun, and with it, a potential transformation in how the galaxy would come to understand humanity. The lecture hall buzzed with anticipation. Students from various planetary systems filled the massive amphitheater, their diverse forms occupying specialized environmental chambers designed to support their unique biological needs. Hannah Kim stood at the central platform, her presentation console glowing softly before her. Professor Krell, a senior academic with translucent skin and multiple sensory appendages, introduced her. Our human exchange student will now present her planetary research, he announced, his translator creating a slightly mechanical tone. Hannah took a deep breath. She knew this moment was more than just an academic presentation. This was her chance to show the galaxy something about Earth, something beyond the dry data reports and distant observations. Her first slide appeared a simple image of Earth's Amazon rainforest. Dense, green, alive with complexity. The alien students leaned forward, their various visual receptors focusing intensely. Earth is not just a planet, Hannah began. It's a living system of extreme challenges and remarkable survival. She described how humans survived in environments that would destroy most known species. The Amazon, with its deadly insects, poisonous plants, and constant environmental threats. Creatures that could kill a human with a single bite. Temperatures that could cause instant exhaustion. Humidity that challenged every biological system. The alien students started whispering. Some looked confused. Others seemed skeptical. Hannah's next slide showed the Arctic. Endless white landscapes where temperatures dropped to -50 degrees. Where wind could freeze exposed skin in seconds. Where survival meant understanding intricate environmental rules. Humans don't just survive, she explained. We adapt. We transform our understanding. We create solutions. She shared stories. A human researcher who lived among indigenous Arctic communities. How they learned to build shelters from ice. How they understood animal migration patterns. How they created clothing from animal skins that protected against extreme cold. The room grew silent. Even Professor Krell seemed intrigued. The presentation continued. Volcanic regions of Hawaii. Deep ocean research stations. Extreme desert environments. Each slide demonstrated human resilience. One alien student, a crystalline being from the Zirin system, raised a communication tendril. How do humans not die in such environments? The question was genuine, filled with honest curiosity. Hannah smiled. We learn. We understand. We respect the environment while finding ways to survive. She described human technologies. Simple tools. Complex problem solving. The ability to learn quickly. To observe. To adjust. Technologies developed not just through scientific understanding, but through generations of survival experience. The alien students' communication networks began buzzing. Data was being shared. Perspectives were shifting. Professor Krell interrupted. Can you demonstrate this adaptability? His challenge was direct, almost confrontational. Hannah didn't hesitate. Absolutely, she responded. The next few minutes would change everything. Not just for Hannah, but for how the galactic academic community would view humanity. Her presentation wasn't just about data. It was about storytelling. About showing that humans were more than just another species. They were survivors. Adapters. Transformers. As she finished, the lecture hall remained quiet. Then, slowly, a series of communication signals began spreading. Curiosity. Respect. Something close to wonder. The human student had done more than give a presentation. She had introduced the galaxy to the true nature of humanity, a species defined not by its current technological level, but by its extraordinary capacity to survive, learn, and grow. Professor Krell's final words captured the room's sentiment perfectly. Perhaps, he said, his translator revealing a hint of respect, we have much to learn from humans. Hannah Kim smiled. The first step was complete. The galaxy was listening. The survival simulation chamber resembled a complex environmental matrix, capable of generating multiple planetary conditions within seconds. Alien researchers and students watched from observation platforms, their various sensory organs focused intently on Hannah Kim. Professor Krell's mechanical voice announced the challenge. Survival scenario activated. Environmental complexity, maximum difficulty. The chamber transformed instantly. Terrain shifted from rocky volcanic landscapes to freezing Arctic-like conditions. Humidity levels fluctuated. Atmospheric pressure changed dramatically. Radiation levels spiked unpredictably. Hannah stood at the center, wearing a standard environmental suit that seemed woefully inadequate compared to the specialized protective gear other species required. Her breathing remained steady. Her eyes focused. The first challenge emerged: a simulated terrain with extreme temperature variations. -40 degrees in one section, scorching heat in another. Most species would require extensive protective equipment. Hannah simply observed. She moved methodically, gathering small rocks, analyzing terrain composition, creating a makeshift shelter using minimal resources. Her hands worked quickly, her movements precise and calculated. Alien students watched in stunned silence. Their communication networks buzzed with confusion and growing respect. A crystalline researcher whispered to another, "She's creating structural protection without advanced technology." Hannah's shelter took shape. Simple. Effective. Using natural terrain features and minimal materials. She collected potential water sources, identified potential food indicators, and maintained constant environmental awareness. The simulation introduced additional challenges. Simulated predatory creatures. Toxic atmospheric elements. Sudden gravitational shifts. Each challenge that would paralyze other species became another problem for Hannah to solve. Her neural responses fascinated the researchers. Where other biological systems would show stress indicators, Hannah remained calm. Her brain processing information faster than the simulation could generate challenges. One alien student from the Viriac system couldn't contain his curiosity. How is she processing these environmental changes so quickly? Professor Krell's response was clinical. Human neural plasticity. Adaptive cognitive mechanisms far more complex than standard galactic species profiles. The simulation intensified. Radiation levels that would destroy cellular structures. Atmospheric pressures that would crush standard biological frameworks. Environmental toxins that would instantly neutralize most living organisms. Hannah adjusted. She modified her shelter. Created protective barriers. Used available materials to filter potential contamination sources. Her movements were not just survival, they were a complex dance of understanding and adaptation. Alien researchers began recording every moment. Her breathing patterns. Muscle responses. Neural activity. Each data point challenged existing understanding of biological survival mechanisms. Suddenly, the simulation introduced a complete environmental collapse. Terrain vanished. Atmospheric conditions became completely unpredictable. This was a scenario designed to test ultimate survival capabilities. Most species would surrender. Activate emergency protocols. Request immediate extraction. Hannah Kim sat down, closed her eyes, and began to plan. Her mind became a complex computational system. Analyzing. Processing. Creating potential survival strategies faster than the simulation could generate challenges. When the simulation finally ended, Hannah emerged. Slightly dirty. Completely calm. No signs of stress. No indication that she had just survived what would have destroyed multiple galactic species. Professor Krell approached her, his sensory appendages vibrating with a mixture of respect and scientific curiosity. "Remarkable demonstration," he stated. Hannah simply smiled. "Humans learn," she responded. "We adapt. We survive." The observation platform erupted in communication signals. Data was being shared. Perspectives were shifting. The human student had done more than complete a survival simulation. She had transformed how the galaxy would understand human potential. As she walked away, alien students watched in a mixture of wonder and newfound respect. The girl from Earth had just rewritten their understanding of biological adaptation. And this was just the beginning. The research laboratory hummed with intense activity. Holographic screens displayed Hannah Kim's biological data, casting soft blue lights across the sterile white environment. Multiple researchers from different planetary systems worked simultaneously, their collective curiosity focused on understanding the human specimen. Dr. Lyra, a senior xenobiological researcher with crystalline neural processors, carefully examined Hannah's cellular structures. Her multiple sensory tendrils moved rapidly across complex data streams, processing information faster than most computational systems. "These neural responses are unprecedented," she muttered, her translation device converting her complex language into standard galactic communication. Hannah sat calmly, allowing various scanning devices to analyze her biological systems. Electrodes monitored her brain activity, while molecular scanners traced her genetic structures. Each scan revealed something extraordinary about human physiology. The most shocking discovery was her cellular regeneration rate. Where most species required extensive medical intervention for minor injuries, Hannah's body demonstrated remarkable self-repair mechanisms. A small cut observed during the survival simulation had nearly disappeared within hours. Professor Krell reviewed the preliminary reports. His energy fields pulsed with scientific excitement. "Her pain tolerance levels are significantly beyond standard galactic biological profiles," he announced to the research team. Blood samples revealed something even more intriguing. Hannah's immune system contained complex adaptive mechanisms that could rapidly develop responses to unknown environmental threats. Her white blood cells seemed to learn and modify themselves continuously, a trait unseen in most known species. The researchers discovered that human DNA contained multiple redundant genetic sequences. These sequences allowed for rapid adaptation and survival in extreme conditions. Where other species would require generations to develop environmental resistance, humans could potentially adjust within a single generation. Neurological scans showed another fascinating aspect. Hannah's brain demonstrated extraordinary neural plasticity. Her cognitive functions could rewire themselves almost instantaneously, allowing her to learn and adapt to new situations with remarkable speed. "It's not just biological adaptation," Dr. Lyra explained to her colleagues. "It's a complete systemic approach to survival." The research team began comparing Hannah's data with existing galactic biological databases. The results were shocking. Humans appeared to be an evolutionary anomaly, a species designed for extreme adaptability. One researcher from the Zirin system noted, "They are not just survivors. They are living computational systems with biological frameworks." Hannah remained calm throughout the extensive testing. She understood the scientific curiosity driving these examinations. For her, this was an opportunity to demonstrate human potential. The most significant revelation came from a comprehensive genetic analysis. Human DNA contained what researchers called adaptive trigger mechanisms, genetic sequences that could activate under extreme stress, potentially unlocking additional survival capabilities. Imagine a species that can literally evolve its own survival mechanisms in real time, Professor Krell explained during a subsequent conference. "That's what humans represent." Molecular scans revealed another surprising detail. Hannah's cellular structure contained multiple backup systems. If one physiological mechanism failed, another would immediately activate. This was unlike any known biological system in the galactic database. The research extended beyond physical capabilities. Psychological evaluations showed that humans possessed an extraordinary ability to maintain cognitive function under extreme stress. Where other species would experience complete system failure, humans could maintain rational thinking. By the end of the research cycle, the scientific community had a new perspective. Humans were no longer considered a primitive species. They were now viewed as a potentially revolutionary biological model of adaptation and survival. Dr. Lyra's final report was succinct but powerful. Humans are not just another species. They are a living demonstration of evolutionary potential. As the research concluded, Hannah Kim smiled. She knew this was more than a scientific examination. This was humanity's first true introduction to the galactic community. And they were just beginning to understand what humans could really do. The Interstellar Academic Consortium chamber fell silent when Hannah Kim entered. Representatives from thousands of planetary systems watched her, their collective curiosity palpable in the massive circular hall. Professor Krell stood first, his translucent form shimmering with energy. "We have reviewed the scientific data," he announced. "Humanity is no longer considered a minor species." Behind him, holographic displays showed Hannah's survival demonstrations, research findings, and complex biological analysis. Each image challenged everything the galactic community believed about evolutionary potential. Delegates from the Zirin system looked stunned. Their own evolutionary path had taken millions of years to achieve what humans seemed to do naturally. Adaptation. Survival. Transformation. "Your species represents something unique," an elder researcher from the Quantum Collective stated. His multiple sensory organs focused intensely on Hannah. "You do not just survive. You reimagine survival itself." The academic recognition was more than a ceremony. It was a fundamental shift in understanding. Humans were no longer seen as primitive explorers. They were now viewed as a species with extraordinary potential. Diplomatic channels began transforming. Research collaborations were proposed. Academic exchange programs expanded. Humans would no longer be marginalized observers in the galactic community. Hannah remained calm. She understood this moment represented more than personal achievement. This was humanity's first true diplomatic breakthrough. Representatives began discussing potential collaborative missions. Human adaptability could revolutionize scientific exploration. Their ability to survive in extreme conditions made them ideal candidates for unprecedented research opportunities. "We request human participation in multiple research expeditions," the Quantum Collective representative announced. His statement was met with unanimous agreement. The chamber buzzed with excitement. Centuries of misconceptions about human capabilities were being dismantled in a single moment. One senior diplomat summarized the collective sentiment: humans are not just survivors. They are living proof that biological potential has no true limitations. As the ceremony concluded, Hannah realized she had done more than represent her planet. She had opened a new chapter in galactic understanding. The first human to truly demonstrate humanity's extraordinary potential stood quietly, watching a new future unfold. A future where humans would no longer be overlooked. A future of exploration, adaptation, and unprecedented possibility. The galaxy was listening. And humanity had just begun to speak.